We know that the Hashiras are some of the strongest characters in the Demon Slayer verse. Their presence or absence makes a massive difference in any battle. We know everything about the current Hashiras, including Giyu, Gyomei, and others. However, the story has also introduced us to some former Hashiras, like Urokodaki, Kanae Kocho, Jigoro, and Shinjuro. I'm pretty sure all of you wonder how these would fare against the 12 Kizuki if they're introduced to the story. Well, in this video, we're gonna talk about just that. For this video, we will assume that all former Hashiras are in their prime and somehow summoned to participate in the Infinity Castle arc. We know that characters were randomly distributed in the Infinity Castle by Nakime, so we don't know where these Hashiras would end up. Considering this, we will consider all possibilities here. Starting up with Urokodaki. My man Urokodaki is the sensei of two strongest characters in the series, Giyu and Tanjiro. Possessing the dynamic water breathing that is considered a perfect blend of offense and defense, Urokodaki is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Despite all this, we haven't witnessed any significant feats from him in the anime or manga other than capturing that hand demon alive. Still, he was a Hashira, but he's probably weaker as compared to Giyu and on the same level as Uzui, so we'll keep it at that. Now, what if he was paired up with his students, Tanjiro and Giyu, against Akaza? Considering this possibility, Urokodaki probably wouldn't want Tanjiro to battle against the literal upper moon and instruct him to stand down. In the manga, this battle is quite long, so we'll sum it up for y'all here. With Tanjiro's presence in the battle, Giyu and Urokodaki would ultimately awaken their Demon Slayer marks, and the battle would go quite similar to the original manga, considering that Prime is still stronger compared to Infinity Castle Tanjiro. Even though Urokodaki wouldn't want Tanjiro to participate in this battle, Tanjiro's persistence to take revenge from Akaza would drive him to feature in this battle. Together, the three of them would take out Akaza. However, Urokodaki would definitely face some grave injuries, since he knows nothing about Akaza's blood demon art, and his will to protect Tanjiro in the beginning. Now let's talk about some other battles here. Urokodaki's presence in the Zenitsu vs Kaigaku battle would be somewhat meaningless, since Zenitsu alone was enough to take down Kaigaku. Well, he had to create an entirely new form for that, but still. We should also consider the fact that Urokodaki is probably not fast enough to keep up with them, so he would do shit in this battle. Might as well just spectate from afar. Kaigaku might even gravely injure him during early parts of the battle. Muichiro, Tokido, Genya, Gyomei, and Sanemi vs Kokushibo. Like the previous battle, Urokodaki would be dead meat here as well. Any Hashira that hasn't awakened their Demon Slayer mark wouldn't survive against Kokushibo. It's quite possible that Urokodaki would go out of commission in the early parts of this battle, and that would suck. His presence in the battle against Domei and Nakime might make some difference, since he would be able to assist other Hashiras in battle, and Shinobu might just make it before Kanae and Inosuke arrive. Together, they would be able to defeat Doma. I mean, if Kanae and Inosuke can do it, then the four of them would definitely sweep the floor with him. Now that we've finished talking about Urokodaki, let's talk about Jigoro here. Being the former Thunder Hashira who has mastered all 6 techniques, Jigoro is definitely a force to be reckoned with. In the battle against Akaza, Jigoro would basically shift the battle toward Giyu and Tanjiro. Since he won't feel the drive to protect Tanjiro, all 3 of them would fully utilize their abilities. He might awaken his Demon Slayer mark as well because of Tanjiro. Like the original timeline, they would eventually defeat Akaza. Owing to his speed, Jigoro will prevent any grave injury from Akaza. Now, if Jigoro accompanies Zenitsu, this would change a lot of things. Zenitsu won't feel the same hatred towards Kaigaku like in the original timeline, but he would still hate him for betraying their master, and swaying towards the evil side for power. Since Zenitsu alone defeated Kaigaku, Jigoro's presence would benefit Zenitsu, and might make this battle somewhat easy for him. In short, Kaigaku is not surviving this. I think all of us can agree that these former Hashira won't survive against Kokushibo, right? I mean, the current strongest Hashiras, Sanemi, Gyomei, and Muichiro, had difficulty facing him despite their Demon Slayer marks, so Jigoro won't stand a chance against Upper Moon 1, and would probably die in this battle. Now let's talk about the battle against Doma. Like Urokodaki, Jigoro will assist Shinobu in stretching this battle till reinforcements arrive. With Kanae and Inosuke backing them up, Shinobu and Jigoro will definitely take out Doma. Jigoro's speed would give him more advantage in this battle, since Doma relies mostly on his blood demon art, and if he can prevent that, he would be the perfect match against him. With Jigoro out of the way, let's talk about Shinjuro, the former Flame Hashira. Shinjuro might not be the most lovable character, but he's definitely one of the strongest. People tend to underestimate him a lot, but they forget that Shinjuro only quit the Demon Slayer Corps because of his hatred for sun breathing. If Shinjuro accompanies Tanjiro and Giyu in countering Akaza, he would come across the demon who killed his son. Like Tanjiro, his hatred for Akaza would be immense, and he won't hold back. With Tanjiro and Giyu battling alongside him, this battle would be legendary. Akaza would also recognize Shinjuro as Rengoku's father, and would get pumped up as well. If Shinjuro awakens his Demon Slayer mark, then I'd like to believe that they would eventually defeat Akaza, like the original timeline. How do you think Shinjuro would face against Kaigaku alongside Zenitsu? If Zenitsu alone can blitz Kaigaku, then it's safe to assume that if some other Hashira accompanies him, then the battle would get much easier, as we have witnessed with the previous Hashira. I'm not sure how Kaigaku is the Upper Moon 6. I mean, he's far too weak, or maybe he just underestimated Zenitsu. Anyway, this battle would be a piece of cake. As previously mentioned, any Hashira without the Demon Slayer mark and weaker than Muichiro would get killed in the battle against Kokushibo. However, I would like to believe that Shinjuro in his prime was stronger than Uzui, and perhaps Shinobu as well, since he had access to all information regarding original flame breathing and even sun breathing. Compared to Urokodaki and Jigoro, Shinjuro is most likely to survive in the battle against Kokushibo, and perhaps help them defeat the Upper Moon number 1. I guess the battle against Doma would go quite similar to the previous Hashira. Shinobu alone gave a tough time to Doma, and if some other is accompanying her, then they can prolong the battle till Kanae and Inosuke also appear there. Doma probably had the worst matchup in the Infinity Castle arc. What do you think? Now that we are done with Shinjuro, the only former Hashira left is Kanae Kocho, Shinobu's elder sister and the former Flower Hashira. Unlike other former Hashira who are quite old in the original timeline and belong to the previous generation, Kanae actually stood alongside the likes of Gyomei, Sanemi, and Giyu, who are considered the strongest generation. Some people tend to underestimate Kanae, but they forget that Kanae actually fought Doma toe-to-toe, and it was a tough battle for even Doma. First, let's see how Kanae would fare against Akaza if she accompanied Giyu and Tanjiro. Well, if Kanae can battle Doma, who's technically stronger than Akaza, and give him a hard time, then it makes sense that if Giyu and Tanjiro support her, they will eventually take down Akaza. Well, it won't be that easy, since Akaza's blood demon art is quite troublesome. Despite all this, it's safe to assume that they will come out victorious without any serious injury. Now, I don't think we have to discuss that Zenitsu vs Kaigaku battle. Kaigaku is not that experienced to face someone with Kanae and Zenitsu together, and they would definitely speed blitz him. The battle against Kokushibo, however, would be quite interesting. We know that Sanemi loves Kanae, and this fact would definitely hinder their battle against Koku. There's a possibility that Sanemi prefers saving Kanae's life over this battle at some point, and gets gravely injured. This would alter the outcome of this battle, since Kanae is not strong enough to battle alongside Gyomei and Muichiro, who have awakened their Demon Slayer marks. Kokushibo might just win this battle owing to Sanemi's feelings toward Kanae. It's about time we discuss the most important battle here. What if Kanae accompanies Shinobu against Doma? Well, first things first, we have to consider that Shinobu doesn't harbor any hatred towards Doma, since Kanae is still alive. This battle would proceed quite similarly to the previous Hashira battles against Doma. Alongside Kanae, Shinobu would be able to stretch this battle till Kanae and Inosuke also appear. And after that, this battle would become a piece of cake. I mean, 4 Hashira level Demon Slayer against Dome is quite unfair. In all these battles, we haven't discussed the battle of Obana and Mitsuri versus Nakime. I'm sure all of you know the reason behind this. Obana and Mitsuri were more than enough to take out Nakime, and she was not much of a threat. Considering this, if former Hashiras participated in this battle, all of them would turn out victorious. This raises some other questions as well, like what if only former Hashiras went up against the Upper Moons? Would they be able to cause any damage? Or would the Upper Moons blitz them? I guess we can talk about that in another video. If you want to see other cool anime videos, click on this one right here. Go on, click on it!